What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the After Bedtime Podcast. I am here with another great Black American dad, Aaron Parker, based out of Las Vegas, 5 kids, in school, has businesses, makes books, does it all. Great husband, great father, Aaron Parker, everyone.
Glad to be back,
Aaron,
guys. Glad to
Aaron
be
has
back.
done the podcast before with me. He's somebody I've known most of my life, going all the way back to Boys and Girls Club, playing basketball in Las Vegas.
That carpet.
And I've watched this man grow. I've followed this man and his family, and the man that he has become has been something that's really inspiring. And I thought it would be really great to have somebody like that onto the podcast with us today. So, Aaron, what's up, man? How are you doing, brother?
What to do, bro? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. So we were talking off air before, and I was like, yo, so you really have 5 kids? Like, what is that like?
You're like cinco. You're like, like it is a blessing, and it is tiring at the same time, bro. At the same dang time.
Where does the energy come
it's
from?
Amazing.
Like, how do you do the energy,
bro? I don't look. It has to be from the Lord, because I don't know where I get it from. Because honestly, I wake up tired, and then it's like I literally wake up every day at like 5:30 because I got to take my daughter to the bus stop, because her school is like, you got to get there super early because they got extra classes because she's in the arts and they have 7 and 8 classes and stuff. And then I come back home and I got to get the littles dressed and I got to take them to school and I got to get dressed and go to work. It's nonstop from 5:30 till I put them to bed at 7:30. But it's a blessing though. They're amazing kids. They're funny. They're bad. You know. They're all the above, but it's so funny.
All of the above. You get everything in between. So now the age gap you were telling me is 12 years from the youngest to the oldest. What is something that you have learned in the 12 years that is helping you out with the 1-year-old?
You know what, man? This might seem really simple, but most of my kids are left-handed, right? So my oldest, my second oldest, my third oldest all 3 of them are left-handed, right? Psalm, the last one, is right-handed. But one thing, because Olivia pretty much got it the worst, because I'm a stickler on penmanship. But with lefties, right, you learn that they make their letters backwards, right? Like, hey, if you make an A, you make it frontwards. They do it backwards and then come back down, right? So it's like, just like it's a matter of perspective. You learn that throughout with all 5 of the kids, is that they all have their own perspectives. They have their own, ideas and thoughts. And you just learn to like at first I was not a patient parent, right? But I've learned to be way more patient, to like try and learn who they are instead of trying to put who I am on top of them so fast.
Yeah.
And that's something like, that's just like that one little lesson of Liv being a left-handed person that taught me like, oh, I really need to slow down, because I was hella mad. Like, why is your penmanship like this? Why is it? But that one thing like just made me slow down.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Be patient.
Seriously.
Learn how to walk through it instead of trying to like get everything like the hurry up, like, because the hurry up doesn't really help them. It doesn't really help them out at all. That's good, man. I needed that.
Yeah.
Like, maybe just go at their pace.
Look, you got to coach it, man. That's one thing I'm learning. Like, if you don't coach it, you don't teach it, like really teach it, they're not going to know it. They're not going to understand it, And so if you think, a lot of times we think we teaching them, that we've already taught them. Like, I don't know how many times I've had to go through brushing your teeth properly, But you got to do it. You got to do
it. Sometimes even into adulthood, they got to still, like, okay, we got to still work on some things.
Bruh, I got, again, a 12-year-old, bro. Like, things that I thought we were way ahead on, or that we had done, or that we had, like, solved. It's like, oh, you don't know this? And they'll let you know quick, like, what are you talking about? You never taught me that. Now they can speak, they can talk back.
That's where I'm at too. My oldest is 11, and it is the swindles that they try to pull is just, it's just crazy. they'll really try to like be like, no, 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 you never told me that. And it's like, no, I know I told you that. I know I like,
Yeah,
but they're trying to convince you like, nah, I don't think you did. I don't think you did, Dad. I'm gonna have to say that. And then they try to like jump through it and be like,
right.
oh, you know what? Let me let me figure out, let me go back and check and see. And then it was like, wait, how are you in control of this situation now?
The finesse, the finesse.
Yes.
But isn't it funny? Don't they remind you exactly who you were at that age? Like
Yes,
that's the part that
100%.
gets me. Like
Yeah.
it's like when I watch, like recently, my daughter got in trouble, and she was the teacher had told how like she will ditch the class to go to the bathroom. Like she goes to the bath whenever she don't feel like doing work, she'll go to the bathroom. And I was like, because I used to do the same thing. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but of course it's so funny to me because I'm like, because I thought about it, I'm like, is that why you never miss any of the fights in the bathroom? Because you're already in the bathroom. And she was
Huh.
like, she's like, what are you even talking about? Like, no, I'm not even in the bathroom that much. I'm like, I swear, no, no. You're in the bathroom that much that you see every fight. You know what
Yeah.
you know
You
all
know
the tea.
exactly where everything is
And
going
that was
down.
totally me.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, that was totally me in school. Like I knew where I had all the information. Yo, so and so did this. I was never in class, but I was
You
getting
was
all
the
the
scoop. You was
information.
the media scoop for the school.
I was look. I was TMZ before TMZ, man. I had all the info. I was passing it. Look, so and so is here. So and
I
so
can
did
tell you
this.
who, what, when,
Did you see
where,
the fight
why.
last Thursday? Oh, I had it, bro.
Too bad you
And just
couldn't
for her to
find a
be
way
the
to like
same way,
monetize that before.
bro. If there was a YouTube version, if there was like a real YouTube version of this, I would be out of here. I'd be on Twitch all day.
You'd be like the largest one. Like, let me tell you, this is the rundown. I was there.
I was there. I don't know if anybody's read the Harry Potter books, but it's like what's the lady that was at the Goblet of Fire? She was doing all the the news. I
McGonagall?
forget her name.
No.
No, that's
Oh,
McGonagall. No, no, no,
I
no.
know who you're talking about.
She's a because she's
She's
an
from the Daily
animagus, so she
Prophet.
was able.
She's from the Daily
Yes,
Prophet. Yeah.
yes, but she was an
The
animagus.
journalism scene. Y'all
Yes,
know the scene. You know the scene we talking about.
yes,
We don't need to
yes,
explain all of it. You know the scene. You know the scene.
yeah. Look, we took a nerdy turn. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But I know, listen, I know you got a lot going on. I want to keep everything quick. You told me, tell me a little bit about the Way Project and kind of like the background of that, how you got into this kind of idea and like what it is so that people can kind of have an understanding of it.
All right, so the Way Project, so it's really in its infancy stage, but it includes all the endeavors that I already do. So so recently, well, not recently, I'm finishing up my degree in Bible studies or biblical studies slash theology at GCU. Go Lopes. So I actually graduate this year, and one of the projects was to like, it's always to. Oh, I know, right? But
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
forget.
bro. Yeah. Let's get here
I
for the
forget to be
graduation.
excited
You got
about that.
5 kids and you graduating from college again. That's amazing.
Hey, you know, got to do what you got to do, man. You got to show the kid. You got to show them the way. You know, I believe children are our future. Treat
Thank
them
you.
well and let them lead the way. Anyway,
Go on. I
but
was about to go all the way into show them all the way. Give them a
feel
sense of
inside.
pride. Make it
Uh,
easier. Shout out to Eddie Murphy. Coming to America was gold. Just
oh,
absolute gold.
gold, gold, man. What is that, velvet? Um, but yeah, so I graduated. So the thing was to like, of course, everybody wants to be a preacher, right? Or everybody wants to like have their own ministry, and that's cool and all. But personally, I just don't think we need more churches. If we didn't build another church, I think we'd all be fine. But so my goal is to take the things that I do personally, or things that I know that God has given me to give away, right? and create communities with them. So, of course, like you said previously, like I'm an author, right? So, my goal is to, of course, provide literacy or provide books to children so that we can grow literacy or grow children who are lacking in those areas, right? So, it used to be Sawubona culture, right? But since I put everything under the umbrella of the way, so it's the way reading now, or the way culture. I haven't decided on that, but we're going to decide it tonight. So the way culture, right? So, and it's an opportunity for me to write children's books of my own, to actually have books where all the sight words from K through 5, depending on which book is being written, like they're all going to be in the story, and allowed so they can learn how to sound those words out, memorize those words, along with having a story that can engage them and be a part of the life that well, I wouldn't say be a part of the life, but it would, it's black stories or stories that they can relate to. If you get what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
while learning their sight words, while learning word, and actually learning actual. I'm saying how to actually read, not memorizing the word, actually learning the sounds, right? So that's one of them, and then of course, what was it? So it's the I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart, but so it's the way
It's all good.
reading, and then also, of course, since I am a software developer, so currently that's what I do for the government here in Vegas. Uh, but a lot of the things that I do is like what you learn with even technology. It's the same thing with reading. It's a huge access issue. So once like, of course, middle class children like ours, they have access to all the phones, all the computers, all the stuff. But a lot of kids who aren't as affluent don't have access to the newest technology, right? So a
Right.
lot of times they are getting secondhand things, right? So my goal is to teach them, or to, there's really nothing wrong with refurbished tech, right? But however, how can we maintain it? How can we take what's broken, take what's been left over, and get it to a place to where it's usable for a long time, right? So teaching these kids the skills to replace motherboards, to to be able to upload and download software properly, actually be able to. One of the goals is to teach kids how to even create a network, so that if somebody gets a cheap. I'm not sure if you guys know what Cox Communication is, but it's like any of the internet companies around here. But if you can get the cheapest plan and then create your own network for your community, and it's just all networking, right? So if I could teach kids how to do those things, how to build computers, how to build their own laptops, or how to even fix their own Chromebooks at school, right? How if we could teach kids these things, teach them these skills, they don't have to rely on their parents to necessarily buy these things or buy them the most brand new things, right? A lot of times, if you can fix it, refurbish it, or even get refurbished stuff, because there's a lot of little places around town, anywhere, where you can get refurbished stuff for cheap and still use it, right? So my goal is to help kids learn how to do those things while also getting certified to do those things, right? So I'm in the process of actually becoming a certified CompTIA, what would you call a master teacher? If I'm not even saying that right, but that's just in my own mind how it's said. And so that's like the two main things that I at least want to do this year. I have I'm already writing a novel, but I also need to write. I need to write these children's books and get them down so I can at least get them out by what year are we in? 2027. So that's the
2026.
goal.
2027 is the goal. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're in 26, but I'm in 27. That's where I need to get it done. So,
Yeah.
and also
Wow.
go ahead and get certified. So those are two of the way projects. Because before we ever
The
get a
tech
church,
and the books are the
yes,
two biggest
yes,
projects.
those,
Okay. And I like, because you said, like, it sounds amazing. It sounds vast. It sounds like
yes,
it's something that is tangible as much as it is spiritual. Let me
Yes.
ask you a question on this, Aaron. Like, if there were tenets, if you will, or like foundational principles of the Way Project, what are those principles that people could grasp on, so they can get a little bit of a bit more of the structure of like the canvas that you're like kind of painting this on? What would be some of those like tenets or things that you believe in that the Way Project embodies?
Okay. Well, first of all, when you even, I'll send you the logo, but when you even see the logo, it's a needle, right? It's a needle, and you can see through the needle is the cross and the path, right? And it said, and it, sorry, I'm having brain farts. I can't remember, but it's the eye of the needle passage in the Bible where it will say that it's easier for uh what is it, Matthew 10, so but I don't like being that type of person either where it's like it's Matthew 10:25 where it says uh, I think it's I want to read it properly, but I think it's Matthew. I think it is Matthew 10:25, but also it's Matthew 6:33 where that my first one is, but seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be provided
Yeah,
for you.
indeed. Yeah.
So it's not. So a lot of times, we think, well, this is that whole chapter is about them figuring out that, like what the disciples are asking Jesus, like, how do we pray? And like when we do pray, like Jesus lets them know, like, hey, like God's not a trickster. Like he like even the like wouldn't a father, like you guys as humans want to take care of your children, right? How much more does the Lord want to do that for you, right? And it's not about necessarily the material things that we get. It's not necessarily about the things that we try and conjure up for God to do. It's really seeking Him first because He's the ultimate provider. And so
Right.
that's one of the main things that I do want to, that I really hang on as it pertains to, uh, as it pertains to this I don't know if I should call it a ministry, but these ideas and that this mission that God has given me is that to remember that He is the provider of people, the provider of your ideas. He's just the Jehovah Jireh. I know everybody loves Jireh the song, but literally He is that. And no amount of money, no matter whatever it is, no, even these jobs that we work
Yeah.
makes them our provider. It's ultimately God, right? And also Mark 10:25 where Jesus uses a metaphor to like illustrate that it's impossible for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Um, but it's through a narrow way, through the eye of a needle, that's where the path is to the way, right? That's also a little nugget. The Way was the original name for Christianity. That's what they used to call it in Acts. They used to call it the Way. And then, well, of course, what the Christians was a mocking term. Like, oh, look at those little Christians trying to be like Jesus, right? But Christianity, but when it first started, was called the Way. So that was one of the reasons why I call it the Way. But also a little nerdy nugget, I do like the Mandalorian, where it's like, this is the way. But I don't know if I can use that. But look, if you hear me say this is the way and a random flute comes out of somewhere, just know it's the Mandalorian, okay?
A little, a little Bible, a little Mandalorian. It really
hey,
is
hey.
all.
What, look, God created it all, provider. Look,
Yes. This is
right?
really
So,
awesome, and it sounds like you're kind of reaching back to like what the thing that came to my mind is like this is like organic to and authentic to the beginnings of the followers of Christ, and
yes,
kind of leaning into a level of authenticity and
yes,
humility with it, that those are also very strong tenets of Christianity in itself. But you had
legit.
mentioned when you were explaining the way at the beginning that you were like, I don't really think we need more churches. I think that we would be okay if we
Yeah.
didn't have another church built. What are some of the differences that you see between the Way Project and maybe a modern or contemporary church that also embodies those same tenets and spirituality and even theology?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, when I say we don't need any more churches, I don't want anybody who's watching this, like, if God has given you a word to build the church, or to have a group of people have it come and uh, have a gathering to hear the Lord's word, or to move forward in this life, by all means do it, right? And I think it's important that everybody does what God calls them to do, right? And for me, going into another building, or being in another building, like, is has nothing. I don't want to do another building. I want to be with the people. I want to. I want people. I think there's so many people who are lost that will never come into the building, but we're so fixed on going in there, yes, we love worshiping. Yes, we love hearing song. Yes, we love corporate worship, and I think all that is important. I think it's always important to fellowship with your brothers, right? But I think it's more important that we are out there in the streets creating community. We don't also have to have institutions everywhere, but because Jesus is the ultimate institution, and if we give people Jesus, we give people His life. We actually give Him the truth, right? Like, it's even. I mean, it's so important that we do more than just feed ourselves every day. There's other people that we can feed with the love of Christ, and I think by doing what God has gifted you to do, both in church and outside of church, I think it's important that, for me, and God has put it on my heart to do it not just in the congregation or in the body, but do it also outside, to create more pieces in the body, I guess, if that's another way to say it.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying is that it's not the removal or secession of institutions
Yeah,
of faith, but it is something that could work alongside the institutions of faith
definitely.
and kind of touch a aspect of society that maybe in a contemporary or even a traditional sense of what we think go ye in the world and preach the gospel is.
Definitely.
This
Definitely.
provides a perspective, a viewpoint, uh, outlook, and even outreach program that can stand
Yeah.
alone, just side by the institutions, which I think is
Yeah.
is amazing, right? Like, I think that if I'm being honest, like a heavy criticism, I think that a lot of people have of institutions of faith, while I'm not necessarily saying that it's a problem or anything like that, but like, what are you doing actually in the community, right? Where is the go ye into the world, or
Right.
is it
Right.
everybody coming into the building? And what you're doing
Right.
is you're going into the world. Like, that's what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're meeting amongst them. And I think that that's something that could be a great partner, a great ally to those institutions rather than, a competitor or something
Yeah.
that you could look at as like, oh, it's trying to uh, demolish or
Yeah.
overtake this thing. I think that that's what I think is really cool, and what I wanted to ask you, kind of bringing it to also you as a dad, right? Like, it sounds like
Yeah.
so much of like the things you do, whether it's what you did before we saw you on a culture, or the books that you write, how fatherhood really means to you, your identity, your place, uh, your faith
Yeah.
seems like it is equally as important to you as the culture in which you grew up in, like with your hairstyle, with some of the books that you've written in the past, or like it with that being
Yeah.
so attached to you, how does that impact your parenting? Is it if you were to give me like a structure or a format of like how you approach parenting, What does that look like for when you think about the Way Project too?
You know what, man? What I think actually, as you were asking the question, because I do a Bible study like every Thursday, like 3 or 4 in the morning with my pastor and some other guys, and we're actually reading Abraham and Genesis, but the story of Abraham and how when Abraham started, of course, he was the only person who heard God, and when God told him to go and leave your father's house, I will give you so much this that, he leaves, right? And Abraham went through a whole life of being promised something that's like the super up, and then all the mistakes that he made of trying to do things his way, having an extra child or a different child, child outside of his wife, and all the ill-gotten gains he got, and lying and scheming that he did, and sometimes he would get it, sometimes he wouldn't get it, right? And that so reminds me of, I'm not gonna lie, of who I've been as a father. Like I was really young having a child, right? And on top of that, right, like I'm not saying that my oldest child is, even though she's from a different marriage, right? Like I was definitely doing things that was outside of God's will, right? And that now, when I was, what I'm saying is I wasn't married. I was, doing the most. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was out there. I was in the streets doing my
He
thing.
was in them
You know what
streets,
I'm
y'all.
saying?
That's what he's
I
saying. He
was,
was in them streets.
you know what I'm saying? Because I gained some weight, but I was pretty handsome back in the day, but when you like, I just think about all the mistakes I've made, all the lies I've told. Sorry about the lies, ladies. All the mistakes that I made, right? And then when you think about Abraham, it culminates to when God asked him to sacrifice Isaac, right? And so this is the crazy part is that, like, by this time Abraham has been so obedient that, because Isaac has to be around, is between 15 and 25, right? So Isaac, when he says, "Hey Dad, where's the sacrifice at?" And he was like, God's gonna provide it." Because so Isaac is still a willing sacrifice. He knew then that he was the sacrifice, and still went along with his father. And because Abraham was an example, right? Even though he had made all these mistakes, he had, probably worn out the trust of his wife. He had done a whole bunch of things, but that just reminds me in parenthood that, like, even going to the sacrifice with Abraham, like him, and again in the gyra moment where the ram is in the thicket, right? That not only is Abraham being obedient, but you don't think your son sees you being obedient? You don't think that creates more faith in your son in that moment, to see that God will be a provider in that moment? And that's exactly what I believe my parenting needs to equate to, is that whatever I do, it needs to prove how good God is, and to also be to be a witness for them that God is for real, that He is loving, that He will always be their provider, that He will always love them. Even though I make mistakes, even though I'm a faulty human being, even though just like Abraham, like
We
there's
all
a
are.
lot of stuff that
Yeah.
Abraham does. You like, hey, yo, Abraham, how are you father of the faith, and you doing all this, right? But that's literally, like, honestly, that I remember, like, that's the first time when I first looked at my dad, like when I was old enough, like, hey, bro, you got 6 kids, and you got like 5 baby mamas, like, what's up? Like when you first start realizing things, you like, and so, I would, again, my hope and my goal is to make sure, even though I'm going to make mistakes, even though I'm not perfect, right? But that one moment that builds my child's faith, or that second moment, or whatever it is, those moments, if I'm continuing to be faithful, if I'm continuing to grow in Christ, that whenever that moment comes, that my son is able to see, my daughters are able to see that, hey, that God is real, right? And that being obedient, or that doing what he tells me to do, or whatever that is, whatever it may be, that it's worth it. And that's all I could ever hope for,
Yeah.
regardless of, whatever I could give them is the best thing I can give them is Jesus. And Jesus is the reward, bro, for real.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. It's like your faith is just so wrapped around how you parent, what you
Yeah,
parent. Like
yeah,
it's like synonymous with your own muse, and there's an evolution there that I think happens when you are truly committed to a theology or a belief system or whatever the case may be. And
yeah,
that's how you know you're living in it, when like there it's adjacent to what you're experiencing in the real time, and then how your faith can interpret it, um and then what the action is that comes after it is a combination of things that are just personally you, but
yeah,
grounded in principles of your faith. And I think that that's something that a man of faith, a father that is a man of faith, can really instill some of the best lessons, um, uh, to their children through that,
yeah,
because it always teaches you to, the first and foremost, the principles are the most important thing. First and foremost,
definitely.
what you believe in is the most important thing. You let everything else come from that, and then
Yeah,
that's how you can interact with the world and make it a better place, rather than leading with your own belief and not
yeah.
grounding it in anything other than your own selfish notions. It's the essence of the Christian faith is it, which is so great. So when your kids think about the Way Project, or have you told your kids about the Way Project, how are they going to be
I've
involved in
I
this
have
whole process?
not I have not told them,
Oh,
that's
so
but
this
that's
is new
also,
new.
yeah, well, not necessarily new. I don't want them. My kids run their mouth, so they'll be telling everybody. Well, they're gonna be telling everybody that my stuff gonna get stolen.
My daddy is gonna
But
be big. My daddy gonna have everything.
right, no, but that's also a thing, right? Like I really, like I hope that I create something that each one of them want to go into, or each one of them will find interest in. I don't know. I don't know if it will. Sometimes it's like we play basketball, right? Like I have a daughter that's literally 5'10", will not pick up a basketball. You know, she's a natural. She could dribble, rebound, bring it up the court. She looked like a little James Harden with the left. And we're at a basketball game, bro. She literally tells me, "Daddy," like she's like, I really just want to be an actress." I'm like, I'm like, you just had a double double, and you wanna do what? She's like, I'm really inspired by Cynthia Erivo. I wanna, I wanna, I wanna sing, and I wanna
This is
act.
beautiful.
Like, no, it is. It is. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, but it's like I want you to go get a double double. Like I'm so excited that I was so excited I had a basketball player. I thought I had one.
Oh
But
man.
I got four. I got four more. Hopefully
Yeah,
somebody
you
decides.
can find that. But this one wants to be in the arts. As somebody that's a part of the arts, you are an artist yourself as an
Yes.
author. They're
Yeah.
they're just as
Yeah.
much you as they are. They might not be at the Boys and Girls Club playing basketball, but they're over here,
Ugh.
giving their artistic expression just as you do. And spoiler
Yes.
alert, he can sing too, y'all. I know he was talking about his kids. He sings
Oh my
too, and
gosh.
he
Oh my
probably
gosh.
sings around the
Stop.
house, and that's where they get
Stop
it
telling my
from.
business. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. That's why she wants to sing every 5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
the cutest thing though. It's the cutest thing. I love it.
I grew up in a household like that. My mom was in choir. All my siblings were in choir. My brother plays like 8 different instruments or so. His kids now
No, your
all
brother's
play different
legit.
instruments. The music being a part of a household, as part of a family, I think is some of the most amazing things. And it is great when you all sing together, which I'm sure you guys have probably had those moments where you're all singing together and you're in such a harmony with one another. It's a beautiful thing to see a dad that can sit there and sing with his kids, rather than seeing the conventional forms of like let's go out, and play basketball, son, or like let's go to the woods, son, let's go hunting, son. It's like, nah, let's sit down and let's sing together, like, or as we're washing the dishes, like let's sing together. I think
Yes.
that's a beautiful thing.
No, it really is. Again, I'm just desperate for basketball. Uh, I thought once I had kids, I was just desperate. But every time my daughter, because she goes to performing arts school, so every time she gets a lead, or every time she just did a play not too long ago. It was like some Shakespearean play with a Harry Potter twist. The funniest thing I've seen all year. It was really hilarious, But
Wow,
every
that
time I
sounds cool.
see her, it's real. I forget what it was called, but it's so good just to watch her be creative. It's so cool to see her use the gifts that I would like to say that I gave her, but and to use them in her own way. It is a blessing to see that, and even my son, he's a nerd, to say it, the least. But that kid will, I taught him how to build a computer. He hasn't stopped, and he'll, it's like Legos to him, So it's like every little aspect of myself I see blown up in that one kid, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing to see.
So you haven't told them about the Way Project yet, and I get why. You don't want them
No,
spilling the beans
yeah,
to the world. What does
yeah,
a day in the life, like, when you envision the Way at its apex? What's happening? Where are we? What are we all doing?
bro. Like that's crazy. That's a really like that's like so in the future. Like that seems so out of here to be honest. But like, you know what? It kind of so. I told you. Well, I don't. Did I tell you that I'm writing a novel? It reminds me of whatever I'm writing, right? But it would be like I've always wanted, like, I don't know if you guys watch YouTubes of those little communities, like those little tiny house communities, but I so want a tiny house communities with a whole bunch of aquaponics and uh, yeah, aquaponic plants and stuff everywhere with, with kids being able to go, eat whatever, and have like that's one of the things, like having a garden and having a first fruits and being able to feed the homeless, and they're able to go to an old booth or something and pick out a book to read, and they're actually learning. Like it feels like uh, like I don't know, like a free community. It just seems like, what it seems like, like I don't know if you remember, you didn't go to Gerheim, but it's like going to town day every single day at Gerheim, where we in elementary school we would create our own businesses, and then like all the elementary school would descend on this going to town day, and we would use our own commerce, and it just it felt like community, it felt like fun, it felt like something fresh, and that's in my mind. That's exactly what I see in that moment, and it's just people getting to really be people, be image bearers of Christ, right, and not having to worry about where their next meal is coming from. They're not worried about work. They're not worried about entertainment. They're really just living a decent life, and that's my ultimate goal is for people. I know everybody won't. I know that it won't be for everybody, but the people who choose who choose to live this or live this out with me can live in abundance, hopefully.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. It's like such a
Yeah.
peaceful, quiet life. Is that something that you think brings you peace? Is the idea of solitude amongst like-minded individuals, and, so to speak, personify in a three-dimensional sense what the church is?
You know what? To be honest, I don't know that. I don't know I don't know that following Christ is probably the most peaceful thing. To be honest, bro. Like if you
No,
read any.
no, I know. It comes with. I mean, I guess I should like contextualize it. In the conventional
Yes.
world, yes, but I feel like what you were describing a
Yes.
is a
It's
utopian esque
yes.
society, right? Like
Yes.
outside of the structure of our current world. So
Yes.
with that given
Yes.
is that
Yes.
the peaceful promise you can, like the promised land, so to speak. Like it's a peaceful
Oh.
utopian world, maybe, that you are looking to, that
Yeah. I
aspire to
mean,
be a
yeah.
part of on a daily basis.
You know what? Yeah, less utopian, more just love. You know what I'm saying? Like what love should look like, bro. What love should like when there's no agenda, it's just our mission is to make sure you're fed. Our mission is to make sure that you can read. Our mission is to make sure that you can find a way to make money. You know, it's just like I love you. I want to give you these what I could ultimately give you, or what, and you go do that to somebody else. So you go do that to somebody else, and we all come back and say, "Hey, did you see who I loved on today? And look how successful they did. You know, or what they became because of it." That's. I think that's what. Yeah. I mean, it sounds utopian, but yeah,
I think it sounds wonderful, and it sounds like that's what I mean with, like, kind of reminds me of, it's like you have put a three-dimensional spin on the Christian faith, and in every sense of the word found a way to make it weird. Like what you were saying is like, we want to make sure you're fed. Like I saw all those words and it's like, we want to make sure you're fed. You know, we want to make sure
yeah,
that you can provide. We want to make sure that you're, you know, whatever those things are going to be. Um, you have a clear directive and spirit in drive to achieve this, and it's very pointed towards specific things. Um, why is this
yeah.
important for you to do?
To be honest, man, it's. Look, I didn't ask for it. Like, to be honest with you, I did. Honestly, I believe it's important because I don't know. Like, when you see like what's going on in the world, man. Like, in my mind, it's like, man, I just want to help, right? Like, I can't join the military anymore and go out and do that stuff, right? The stuff that I've learned and the stuff that I can do, I feel like I can give that away. Like, you know, I can give Jesus away. I can give whatever knowledge I have away. Look, I can figure out how to do aquaponics and make it happen and make it efficient. You know, so that people can actually eat and do all these other things, right? So it's just really my, what would you say? It's my, just in my heart that I just want to help, you know, and the best way, and how can you help? And it's the best way that you can help. You know, the way that I would want to help and the best way that I can help are two totally different things, right? But what I can do, I would like to do, and I'm going to do. You know, of course, there's planning that has to take place, but that's the goal, is to get past the planning stage or the talking about it stage and get to the do it stage.
Yeah. After a certain point of, right, the theory of it, and then
Yeah,
you have to put it into practice. And
definitely.
that's where you find out, can you execute or not. But, you know, for you, it sounds a lot like it's not really up to you. It's a calling more than it is a dream of yours. The dream, I think,
Yeah,
is something
yeah,
that you would probably articulate in a different light. Like the dream is like writing books, or like, you know, something that's like, you know, like that's like
yeah,
uniquely to it. But the way project is a calling. And it's,
yeah,
you know, one of the things I like, I always say this to myself, and I think it's very much based in where, you know, my faith originated from and what I believed about Christianity when I really started to, you know, study it. Is that, you know, the lesson here is that you need to fall in some love with something that is greater than yourself. And when you
yeah,
approach when you approach things like that, and you are a part of things like that that you love more than you love yourself, the humility comes natural, compromise becomes natural. And those
Definitely.
ingredients are the ingredients of peace, and to
Yes.
go through those things on a day in and day out basis. And you're giving people pathways to exercise those things so that they
Yeah.
can induce peace in their own life organically, right?
Yes.
Because in order
Yes.
to have peace, you have to have an understanding of what it takes to have peace. And you're creating these, you're a software developer. You're
Yeah.
creating a
Yeah.
world, a software, if you will, that compartmentalizes what you need in tangible skill set to
Yeah.
be able to provide yourself the idea or the philosophy behind peace.
Preach, Jay. How you put that
This is
together
you,
like that,
man. I'm
bro?
just listening to how
No,
you
you
explain it.
look.
And like,
I didn't
okay,
even think
how
about it
does his
like that.
brain
Look,
work? He's a software
preach,
developer.
dog.
So how software is structured, you have structured it in a way that
Yeah.
is digestible, right? Because sometimes for some people, certain, the Bible, whatever religion you practice, the Torah, the Quran, whatever it can be very like
Yeah.
ambiguous, and it's like, well, what does this really mean? And then you have
Yes. Yes.
these different interpretations. This is why I say, like, the idea of the Way Project working alongside, right? The work side by side or adjacent, parallel to the church, rather than in competition with or an evolution of.
Definitely.
Uh, you're
Definitely.
providing a software of sorts that has a goal or an output of learning how to manifest peace, and it's through the disciplines of your faith that you like. That's the skin of it,
Definitely.
the aesthetic of it. And then you use the
Definitely.
structure, right? You built a house and then you colored it a certain way. uh it's brilliant. I That's why I like when I listen, I'm like, this is actually like a really really good idea, and I can see why you didn't want your
Thank you.
kids talking about it. Now I feel like with this podcast, you better be ready because it's gonna be coming out. It's like, this is gonna come
Hey.
out. Now people are gonna know about this and be like, wait,
Well,
maybe I need to talk
no.
to Aaron a little bit more about this.
No, it makes me. It makes me like like days like today, makes me realize like because I spend like as a software person like you spend so much time trying to make your code work, and that it actually looks right, and you constantly like, oh, maybe if I move it an inch, it's gonna look better, or maybe if I add this other feature, it's gonna be cooler, right? And you got to get out of your head and get to doing. And I think me talking about it, and me also, yeah. I mean, I've already done the little things. I've already done the Salbona part, right? Does Salbona need to go further? Sure, right? Does it need more content? Sure, right? And like, so that was like something I learned years ago. Like, you starting a business or you starting a nonprofit or you starting something, like do the smallest part of it. And Salbona has always been the smallest part. And so now it's time to get to the other, what would you say? First you do the HTML, then you do the CSS, right? Do you do the Java, right? Then you got to get the SQL in there, right? And of course, everybody loves Python now, so you got to get the Python in there, right? Then you got to get the, Node and all the other things to make it an application. You know what I'm saying? And so, or Power Apps, whatever people use these days. So, I'm at the point to where like talking about it is it's better than it just being in my brain and being in my notes. Talking about it really makes it real for me, and so I'm glad. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to really talk about it because I wasn't going to. Like I was just gonna. I wouldn't be talking about like I'm just gonna show up, pop up on social media with a man and married one day. That's I was gonna pop up with all this stuff and be like, support y'all.
Yeah, it's like, by the way, I'm doing this, and there
Yeah,
you
by
go.
the
I
way.
need your support, and that's great too. But it is good to also, you know, speaking with like-minded individuals, people that share a commonality of a journey of sorts. There are things that you can always take away from that, and that's a lesson that I've learned even myself with doing this podcast. And why I think this podcast is so cool is everybody's dream, so to speak, calling, whatever it is for
Yeah,
you, is different. It's diverse. Like, no matter, like, if you listen to everybody, all the dads that I've talked to, it's like it's very different. It's not, no one is the exact same. Some people have similarities, but there are differences between them. But when you are able to sit with somebody that is in a like-minded space, for us, like, the format is Black American Dad, right? Like, there's
yeah,
a calming of sorts, a peaceful nature, a peaceful environment, if you will, that allows for your ideas to be able to be heard, received, and then also explored, even, um, and maybe even built upon for yourself, because of something that you discovered that might not have
definitely.
ever actually happened if you didn't actually open up your mouth.
Yeah,
And it's hard sometimes to open up your mouth. And I think for a lot of dads, um, in general, it's hard for them to really speak on what they want to do, because they're so, I got to be this for my kids. I got to be this for my kids. I got to be this for my wife. I got to be this for my
definitely,
wife. I got to,
definitely,
all these other external outputs
definitely.
that they feel that they have to shield and cover. And they don't ever actually, or they're reluctant to speak about the spirit and the voice that's within inside of them, of what they want to do.
Yes,
But when you're in a
yeah.
like-minded space, when you're around people that understand it, that get it, maybe not times five, but I do understand slightly what it's like.
Yes,
You
yes,
get
yes.
to be able to see that, hey, it's okay for me to actually share this and to talk about this, and you see how well it's received,
Yeah.
and not, just in like, oh, it's a good idea or bad idea, but really being able to explore your own consciousness through the vessel of somebody else that's like-minded like yourself. I think is a beautiful thing. In the Way Project, really, like I said, I think from what I hear from it, that you're going to naturally be able to create those things happening with people beyond yourself. For me, it's just me, this mic, and the dad that's in front of me. For you, it's the world that you're creating, and there could be a conversation that's happening in the garden, or a conversation that two people are in a
Yeah.
book club and reading your book, or a conversation of people jogging together in the neighborhood that you built, that you're not necessarily a part of, but the Way Project bestowed that upon them and gave them that
Yeah.
opportunity to exist in that space, so that those things can flourish.
Speak life,
All in all,
bro.
it's truly great work, man. Truly beautiful.
You're speaking life, man. I'm excited. I'm ready to jump out my chair, bro. I'm excited. I'm
Well,
excited,
it's
bro.
your
Seriously.
idea. That's so, let that be a credit to you, because I'm just going off of what you've
Thank
told
you,
me, and
man.
I'm like listening to you, and I'm like sitting here, and I'm like,
Thank
in my
you.
head, I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, I'm trying to think of like, okay, we could run into
Thank
this, or
you.
what about this? And it was like, no, this is it. Like, this, I feel like software engineers in general, um, I have to be biased and say, like, I think kids that study history, because that's what I studied. I studied history. There's a way that your mind has to work in order
Definitely.
to be successful in, whether it's the comprehension of something and then the execution of something.
Definitely.
You have to have a certain format to be able to do that. And that skill set, or that format, is applicable in
Yes.
other aspects of your life, that you start to see, like, oh, if you actually do it like this, or you
Mm-hmm.
deconstruct something in a fashionable way, and like, okay, so like, in order for that to work, this must work, and then this must work, and then this must work, and
Yes.
now I see how it's structured. Okay,
Yes.
now I can receive it. I think that that's something that engineers do a really good job of, because you can deconstruct things. And I think what you've done with the Waypoint is, you've, not in a negative sense, but you've deconstructed the Christian faith down to tangible things that can work alongside the teachings of Christ inside of an institution, inside of a
Definitely.
Bible study, where you're getting the more theological, grounded, driven approach to the faith. And then you're giving
Mm-hmm.
them the exercise that is outside, that's not necessarily in the constructs of the real world, but gives them the practice of, via
Yes.
these things that you're doing. I keep saying it's magical. Like, it's just like, I was like, that's
Well,
amazing.
if it goes the way that you're explaining it, it'll be crazy to see because, like, literally,
I think it would
like you said,
reshape theology, or the way we look at how theology is spread, how it impacts, right? Like if I were to write a thesis on the impact of Christianity with respect to the United States, right?
Yeah.
That I could say from its inception, right? There have been fundamental principles that were believed in by the founding fathers that could be articulated in a way, including the freedom of religion,
Yes.
that really are grounded in the teachings of Christ, right? I could go
Yeah.
through what you're doing is the same thing. It's you're finding ways of bringing these core principles into tangible things that impact people on a day in, day out basis.
Right.
And uh it's shareable and it's digestible enough to where it can help them stay on the path that they need to stay on to be as close as they can be to their God. I think it's great, man. I really do.
Well, again, the goal is to make sure that people have community. I think, it kind of goes both ways. People, like, when they go to church, they want the church to be the bank, the everything, right? And the church wants you to do the same thing. They want you to be in there every day, working for free, blah, 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 right? And I think it's really unhealthy to want, for each of us, all of us, to want each of those entities to be everything that we need. And I think if people really read the Bible and actually became, because the building isn't the church, you and I are. You know what I'm saying? And so when we realize that, and once we realize that all of us together build the church, right? Paul even says it. Do what's going to build the church, right? Like don't do anything to take away from it. And that's what I think the Way Project is. That's the goal, is to build the church. All right. Yeah. And that's the ultimate goal. And that's to build you and I.
Yeah.
Everything else
It's a simple thing. It's just to build you and I, and what that looks like.
Yeah.
Before we go, out anything that you want people to be able to check out, where can they find out more information? How can they get a hold of you? How can they be a part of the things that you're doing?
Man, you can't be a part of anything right now. No, I'm joking, but you can. I do have, if you want to support, because there's a thing that I did in class where I kind of broke down like 5 things that I was learning, or that popped up while in school, but that we had to create a little podcast. It was called 1333 and Beyond. It's a little play on, I don't know if everybody has seen the 20 and 19, but 1333, of course, is 333 is Matthew 3:33. 13 is the age of. Don't let me start acting like a preacher. Like 8 is the number of completion, but 1333 and beyond. That's where you can go support me. It's on YouTube. Go watch that stuff. Please interact with it. Say whatever you. If I'm saying something crazy, if I'm saying something that's not true, if I'm saying something that is true, that you just write it, because the more that you guys answer me or write or respond to my YouTubes, my teachers will see it, and because they all think I'm crazy anyway. I got into it with a Jewish rabbi the other day, so they think I'm crazy. So
you did say it wasn't going to be easy. You did say it wasn't going to be easy, y'all.
It wasn't, but because I should have asked it. I shouldn't have asked it. I asked the guy. I said, so why do you guys get to live in the grace of Jesus Christ and you're not sacrificing still? And dude almost took my head off because he was like,
oh my gosh,
the temple of he went crazy on me. So go support 1333 and Beyond. That is my YouTube. And Sawubona Culture still has a YouTube and an Instagram. That's SAWUBONA Culture. The readings that we did years ago. But it's still relevant. They're black and brown stories for black and brown kids. It can be for white kids too. But I'm saying these are stories for those children to learn their history, to appreciate their history. And one last thing, Black history is more than just people going through adversity. Like nobody, nobody,
Yes.
nobody, nobody saved us. Nobody freed us. We freed ourselves. Okay, like in every war, there was the Revolutionary War. Crispus Attucks was the first person to die. A black man, had nothing to do with it. Okay, so all I'm saying is that we've been a part of everything while having to fight for everything, and just
We fought in every single war. We have financed every single war. We have always been successful and entrepreneurs. We have always been inventors. We have always been patriots. We have always been, we have always been, we have always been. And that is the part of Black history that I look so much forward to being a part of,
yes,
showcasing and telling to the world, because so much of the things that I want to create are surrounded around that. And whether it's
yeah,
Black American Dad and talking with Black fathers and people getting a glimpse of what Black fathers are like, we paint our own stories and create our own story. We tell our own world. We are the ones that save ourselves. Nobody saves us. We're not victims of anything. We are triumphant and we overcome anything.
amen. I'm just saying. I mean, I was telling my kids like, there's a reason why Juneteenth is a holiday because the Emancipation Proclamation didn't necessarily work the way that they thought it would. So
Yes, yes. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. Explore history yourselves, everyone. Great advice from a great father, a great man, a man of faith, a great husband. Thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the After Bedtime Podcast. Really grateful for you guys and being able to listen to this and, share this with as many people as you can. If you have somebody in mind that you think will be a great guest for the podcast, if you have questions that you want to be able to ask Aaron about the Way Project and everything that he has going on with that, if you want to learn a little bit more about After Bedtime, about Black American Dad, about whatever, email us at the afterbedtimepod@gmail.com and then subject line it After Bedtime Aaron Parker episode, and then go into a little bit more of like what you want to know. Other than that, thank you guys so much. Have a good night and stay tuned when we talk to another great Black American dad. Shout out Black dads. And we are